We're here across the street on Union Avenue from the Peabody Hotel. Now, the very first Peabody Hotel opened in 1869 at Main and Monroe, and it was named for George Peabody, the great philanthropist. Colonel Robert Brinkley built the hotel, and George Peabody helped him get his materials, but George Peabody passed away that year. So he named it in his honor rather than being called the Brinkley House. And after about 50 years at that location, an 1869 hotel, modern utilities and telephones and things came in, was just out of date. So this building here was built from 1923 to 1925, cost $5 million, 625 rooms over here. The first building was built 60 rooms for $75,000 in 1869. So they got a center point location here in downtown Memphis, 1925, grand opening. It became the place to be in downtown Memphis. There was 45 stores in there. It was technically our first shopping mall when you think about all the spaces that were in there, all the meetings. And then right after the Depression, author and historian David Cohn wrote that the Mississippi Delta begins in the lobby of the Peabody Hotel and ends at Catfish Row in Vicksburg, Mississippi. And if you stand in this lobby long enough, ultimately you'll see everybody who is anybody in the lobby, and many of those are on the make. So a lot of those cotton merchants who come in and come to conventions, do their deals on Main Street, come down to the Peabody, drink, go to smoke cigars and all that. So it's a big place to celebrate. So it became known as a place for great parties and galas. The Continental Ballroom was said with some exaggeration to be the size of Lake Michigan. That's what they say. But lots of meetings, parties, proms. Class of 53 at Humes High School had their prom there. Elvis Presley, you see. So the Peabodys hosted every president since Harry Truman in 1948. In the 1930s, they finally realized they were having rooftop parties on the roof, big parties, swing music, big band, but they're losing about half their revenue in the wintertime without an enclosure up there. So the eastern side of the roof became the Skyway Room, built in 1939. And in the 1940s, there's one of 3 rooms in America that big band music was broadcast over the national airwaves of CBS National Radio Network. Room in New York, Memphis, and Los Angeles. Tommy Dorsey, Guy Lombardo, all those big bands. Sam Phillips was an engineer there at that time. That's about the time in the 1940s, early 1950s, when Don Newman started taking his pictures of all the grand buildings in downtown, you know, whether office buildings or libraries. And now, how could you not take a picture of the Peabody Hotel? So he found his way somewhere over here up on a rooftop to get the shot that we're trying to represent today, and took this great shot here of the Peabody with the sign. The little building on my left over here is just a mechanical room. That's how well appointed the Peabody is, but it's the backdrop for all the parties on the roof. During the 1950s, you had several factors that happened to the Peabody and to downtown. First, the development of the overnight roadside lodging chain, Holiday Inn in Memphis, caused people to go to the highways, and downtown hotels suffered. And then desegregation of our city. First black occupant of the Peabody Hotel was 1962. Malco Theater in 1961, school desegregation, the desegregation of the department stores, all of downtown, and then the King assassination in 68, and downtown kind of emptied out after that. The Peabody Hotel had been bought by the Sheraton Corporation at the time. They tried to modernize, put a drop ceiling in the lobby, clubbing up the skylights and the carved plaster. The chandeliers in the lobby are still original to this day. The marble's still original. The fountain, the great glorious fountain, is still original to this day. But it closed in 1973 because business had just gone away. 2 years later, it was bought on the courthouse steps at public foreclosure for $540,000 by the Belts Corporation, who owns more real estate in the state of Tennessee than the state of Tennessee does. That's how big they are. Jack Belts told me they outbid Prince Mongo for the Peabody Hotel. So that had been Planet Zambodia for real. And it is at a time when Beale Street was closed, Orpheum was closed, or Malco. More people lived in jail in downtown Memphis and residentially. And the Belts saw the opportunity to make this the catalyst event for the rebirth of downtown. In 1981, in September of 1981, the Peabody Hotel reopens after $5 million construction, $25 million renovation cost in 5 years from until 1981. And it was a great risk that the Belts took. And the Peabody's undergone several $1 million of restoration during the years ever since. But it was the catalyst event for the rebirth of downtown. So the Peabody Hotel this day has over 1,000 meetings, has a great reputation for food, for entertainment, for commemorative occasions of all kinds and all sizes. the South's Grand Hotel, the Peabody Hotel.